The Expromizer V4 RTA. The Expromizer V4 was sent to me for a review from heavengifts.com. This is a tight draw tank from X-Vape, and it's designed in Germany and made in China. I've never used any of the previous versions of the Expromizer, but I did watch Todd's reviews take on the V3 just to get an idea of what might have changed in this new version. The V3 had bottom airflow, a lot of parts, a juice flow control, and 4mm extension parts. The V3 was able to do restricted lung hits, so it had quite a bit of airflow. Todd was also vaping at around 26 watts. The max coil size was about 2.5 millimeters inner diameter, maybe 3 millimeters with a basic round wire build. The juice flow control wasn't visible from the windows, which was poorly thought out, but other than that, it was machined very well. He said the flavor was very good too. One of Todd's complaints on the V3 was that the airflow hole beneath the coil was too big at 2.6 millimeters diameter. He said it still worked well, but he felt that the draw would be better with a smaller airflow hole under the coil. Okay, so we know a little bit about the previous version, so let's see what's new. It's 2mm capacity, has an optional 4mm version with bubble glass, an optional 4mm extension with straight glass. It's 23 millimeters in diameter, 43 millimeters tall, or 56 millimeters with the drip tip, and it's 76 grams in weight. It's made of stainless steel, it's a top airflow tank, and it comes in the colors of brushed steel, polished steel, and black, and you can get it for $44.90 from heavengifts.com. In the box you get the Expromizer V4 tank, a yellowish tinted acrylic tank pre-installed, spare clear glass tank, a yellowish tinted mouthpiece pre-installed, black Delrin mouthpiece, screwdriver, spare O-rings, M2 screws, and a user manual. So the Expromizer V4 looks great. In my mind, this really looks like a high-class German-designed product. Even if it's made in China, it definitely has that German-inspired look and quality to it. It's a nice piece of gear. The tank comes with the 2mm yellowish tinted acrylic plastic tube pre-installed. You also get a spare clear Pyrex glass tube in the box, and that's what I have on here now. There are also optional tanks that you can buy. There's a 4mm Pyrex bubble glass tube, which is the same height as the 2mm glass, but is 27 millimeters in diameter. Then you have the 4mm extension kit. This is a taller tube, but it's 23 millimeters in diameter, so you get more e-juice capacity, but it's still flush with the base. And there are two versions of the extension kit. One is the yellowish acrylic tank, and the other is a clear Pyrex tank. The mouthpiece on the Expromizer V4 is two pieces. You have the metal piece that fits snugly into the top cap, and then you have the plastic tips that screw onto the top of that. X-Vape included both a yellowish tip and a black Delrin tip, so you can customize the look a little bit. The hole in the tip is really small, and it matches up with the hole in the chimney piece, so it's lined up perfectly all the way through. The V4 has top airflow, designed to prevent leakage, and according to X-Vape, to appeal more to beginners. And this is using top to bottom airflow, which is a familiar airflow system that has become popular with a lot of newer top airflow tanks. The way this works is that it pulls in air from the top of the tank, transfers it down the sides of inside the chamber, and then it pulls it back up from beneath the coil and through the chimney. It works really well, and the flavor comes out pretty good. The airflow control ring comes off, so you can clean behind it, which is always nice. And there's 6 settings to pick from. Each hole is 1 millimeters in diameter, so you can really get a nice tight draw if you want. With all airflow holes open, it's still a very tight draw. You can't get a restricted lung draw in this tank. So the V4 is really designed for those of you out there who want a tight draw. At the lowest airflow setting, this is one of the tightest draws that I've ever had on a tank. And the draw is super smooth and it just feels great. I really like it. The liquid control system is a mainstay of the Expromizer family of tanks, and it's back in the V4. You'll see it here in the bottom of the inside of the tank. You change settings by turning the base of the tank. You need to do this while it's attached to a device because it has to turn in the same direction that you tighten it onto the device. That also means that the tank can get a little tight on the device. Not really tight, but just a little tighter than usual. So because of that, when taking the tank off, you want to grip it by the base, not the glass, or you'll end up unscrewing the glass. The X-Vape site says there are 5 settings to pick from, but I only see 3. There are 3 holes on each side, and both sides have to be open. You can't just close off one side. So yeah, seems like 3 options to me. Anyway, these are designed to let you control how much e-juice you want to allow into the deck. The smallest holes are 1.4 millimeters and the biggest hole is 2 millimeters. The middle is probably right between that. I haven't measured it. This is a great feature because it lets you adjust the settings to your build. If you've used many rebuildable tanks, you know that different types of coils and different sizes, inner diameters of coils, and even different lengths of cotton can change the way that the tank works. So if one build works great and then you switch it out later and it doesn't wick as well, or if it wicks too much and gets flooded, you have the option to change the e-liquid control. Another cool reason to use this is because you can use any type of e-juice in here. Xvape says that with thin e-juice, like high PG e-juice, you want to set the control to the smallest liquid control setting. For thick high VG e-juice, you open it up all the way up to the largest setting. On older models of the Expromizer, the cotton sat above the liquid wicking holes. The cotton had to cover the holes to prevent it from flooding. That also meant that only the tips of the cotton would wick e-juice. This actually worked well from what I've heard, but Xvape wanted to make it work even better in the V4. So the V4 now puts the cotton in direct contact with the e-liquid, which is supposed to provide even better liquid flow. I don't have any older models to compare to, but the liquid control on this one works great. It works all the time. The Expromizer V4 is a top fill tank. The key thing to remember with this tank is that it has that liquid control setting built in, which means that you need to remember to close it off before filling it, or you'll flood the tank. So to fill it up, just close the liquid control, screw off the top cap, and that's it. There's a lot of space here, so you shouldn't have problems with using any size of e-juice bottle. Just remember to open up that liquid control again before vaping. Like all previous versions of the Expromizer, the V4 is a single coil deck. The coil sits in the middle, and with the legs going in both directions, you just tighten the legs down under the Phillips head post screws. The screws are flat on the bottom, but the legs still try to work themselves out, so you'll need to make sure that they're really pinched in there. You'll also notice these little ledges sticking out on the deck. Xvape doesn't say if these have a purpose, but they're useful for wrapping the wire under and tightening the legs down. So my guess is that's what their purpose is. When trimming the coil legs, you need them to be absolutely flush with the posts. If they stick out even a little bit, you'll get friction trying to screw that chimney back on. You might not even be able to get the chimney on. The tank doesn't come with any cotton or coils or recommendations for sizes, so you're just going to have to play around with it. If you're going to use Clapton's, a 2.5mm diameter coil is about as big as you want to go. You might be able to fit 3mm diameter, but it would probably be best to use basic round wire builds if you go that high. And 3.5mm is just too big. 2.5mm diameter really seems like the best size for this tank. When wicking the coil, you want to cut the cotton so that it just reaches the bottom of the deck and maybe even a little less. I found that if you put too much cotton in here, it plugs up the liquid control holes when you take a hit, and it sucks up a ton of e-juice into the deck, and then it floods it like crazy. And there's no way to correct it after that other than by taking it apart, cutting some of that length off the cotton. So just make sure you aren't plugging up those liquid control holes. Other than that, the liquid control feature works great, and it just wicks up e-juice like nothing. Okay, so that's it. With a rebuildable deck and the liquid control, this will probably cater more to advanced vapors, but it's really not all that complicated to use. Based on what I've seen of the V3, Xvape fixed pretty much all of the previous flaws. You can see the liquid control while you're setting it, and the draw is perfectly designed for tight draws. It still has great wicking, and the flavor is really good. My only cons would be that the post screws try to push out the coil legs, and that you have to be careful how you wick it so that it doesn't flood. But in the end, this is a really awesome MTL device. The best MTL tank that I think I've ever used as far as flavor and performance goes. So in my opinion, this is a must buy. This was sent to me for review from heavengifts.com. So if this is something that you're interested in, you can get it from them for $44.90. All right, thanks for checking out this review, and I'll catch you on the next one.